Well, Thursday wrestling once again is not the same as it was in previous times, but for today I'm going to try to add things a little bit. So, as you know, we will be reviewing Ring of Honor with their much recent matches that took place. We had a 2 out of 3 falls match between the Infantry and Shane Taylor's promotions. We have two four corner survival match in the men's and women's division, and plenty other matches as well. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the two latest events from Stardom. They're back to back from their New Year's stars. The first one is on the 7th in Nagoya, and of course, the next on the 8th of January in Anjo, which of course is considered as Tam Nakano country. So, yes, so we're going to be reviewing all matches that took place as well. But we're also going to end it with some news updates that tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are putting out, who's booked, and what matches are set, any wrestlers that have been signed or departing from their promotions, and of course, and other developments that have been happening around the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. Wow, I actually said it. As I keep saying the last few episodes, I keep mentioning Impact Wrestling. Now that it's gone, we have TNA. I must give myself an applause for that. Anyway, so if you guys are new here to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world with pro wrestling. It's not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos with, of course, topics like the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to get our hands on. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a video by itself. And of course, real timing news updates that it's already breaking news for everyone. And of course, various other cool stuff as well. So if you guys like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button and you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews. But if you also like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review. This is one of two shows from Stardom that we are being reviewed. We already did one. As you know, they had a 3-day show in separate days. One in Cork and Hall, the other one in Nagoya, and then of course in Anjo. So right now, the one we're doing is part of the New Year's Stars, and this one's in Nagoya. They actually did a tournament, a I think the New Year's Stars tag tournament. However, there was a bit of a circumstance. Now there were 4 matches that were already been set. However, one of the matches was a forfeit. Apparently, Momo Watanabe, as you know, I actually put this on a news update in one of the previous episodes, where Momo contracted COVID-19. She had to be pulled away. So her match with Starlight Kid was a forfeit. The team that won that match by forfeit is Mayu Iwatani and Hanan. But they will participate as well. But we'll see how that goes. Now, our first match, we have a 3-way match. We have Yuna Mizumori versus Starlight Kid versus Mina Shirakawa. Of course, there was going to be some interesting moments. Now, Starlight Kid, who likes to play dirty but try to play a little smarter, stepped out of the ring to ensure that both Mina and Yuna Mizumori are worn out. But however, none of that mattered one way or the other because Mina has shown how much she has grown and became different ever since then. She defeated Yuna Mizumori with the glamorous collection Mina and picked up the W from there. Next up, we have a very interesting tag match. We have stars consisting of Sayaida Azuki. They take on God's Eye, Saki Kashima, and Ami Sodi. So that pretty much no storyline into that. But however, Kashima, as you know, once again tried to be the more smart one of the group, filled out a pretty good match. However, there was a lot of good teamwork with Ami Sodi and Saki Kashima, where of course Ami Sodi applied the Blue Thunder Bomb onto Sayaida, but Kashima, who was the legal person, picked up the pinfall. Next up, we have a 6-woman tag team match. We have Rana Yagami, Hanako, and Yazuki. They take on Sayaka Kurara and the members of Queen's Quest, Lady C, and Azumi. Now, as you know, you may have noticed a lot of things. I did mention there's a bit of a feud between both Hanako and Yuzuki from dating back all the way from last month. I'll get to that at some point. Now, of course, there was going to be a bit of, who's going to take the glory in this match between those two. However, mostly the matches were won whenever Hanako or Yuzuki teamed up. Normally, Yuzuki is the one who picked up the win, but in this case, it was Hanako with the brainbuster on Kurara to pick up the win from there. But however, of course, Hanako, who does not like Yuzuki, they got in each other's faces. They even try to separate them. Now, those who are new to the channel, you ask yourselves, why do they have a problem with each other? Let me explain it. Back in December, during the last show of 2023 of Stardom, Hanako and Yuzuki were involved in a were involved in a match where Yuzuki picked up her first win. Now, here's the thing: Yuzuki is the newest girl and the newest member of the roster, but she picked up her first win after a month. But Hanako mentioned during her post-match comments that she never picked up her first win after a month. She never did. It only takes like a few months until that happens. So Hanako felt a bit of, I don't know if you call it envious or jealousy or resentment, how it is. She felt that how come Yuzuki picked up her first win but not her? So there's always that case right there. So then been going back and forth. They recently had a tournament for the Rookie of Stardom of 2023 where Yuzuki won. Hanako was, of course, a runner-up. So that, but I do see we could see a feud between them and down the line, even for the future of Stardom. But that's another conversation for another time. Now, let's begin with the New Year's Stars tag tournament. This is the first round. We have Crazy Star, consisting of Zuzu Suzuki and Mei Sita, taking on Masakurai and Julia. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this. They continue the showcase their name on screen on TV, but they still had the DDM logo in there. I'm like, I thought DDM was done, but I guess they haven't updated everything yet until then. But however, it was a pretty interesting match. Don't forget, Julia and Zuzu have history and all of that. But however, the match did not end in by anybody winning. It ended in a time limit draw, 10 minutes. So basically, no one won. So no one advanced. And then, of course, we had another 10-minute time limit draw, but this time we had God's Eye, Mirai, and Sudi taking on Divine Kingdom, Megan Bayne, and Micah. So, but I knew this match was going to be hard hitting. I know that there are moments we see Mirai, who's not afraid of her opponent, especially Megan Bayne, was going to get involved. But it was a time limit draw, 10 minutes for both teams. Now, our final match involving the tournament, we have Oedo Tai Ruka and Natsuko Tora taking on Aphrodite, Sayaka Mitani, and Utami Ishida. Now, don't forget, Natsuko Tora hasn't forgot the humiliation she had suffered in the hands of Queen's Quest during that cage match. Well, basically, in this case, doing well for Oedo Tai because it was Utami Ayashida who picked up the one with the German suplex onto Ruka. But however, because of the situation is this, due to the forfeit, it was Mayu Utani and Hanan who proceeded. But due to the 2 time draws. They jumped in with the final match featuring Aphrodite versus, of course, Mayu Iwatani and Hanan, but it was a pretty good match. Now, Hanan, I have to say, has grown up so much, and that's why people often say that she is the ace, the future ace of Stardom, and they're not lying. I mean, she's shown a lot of promising. I mean, she has the most consecutive defenses as the future champion, so we could see a lot of big things, and not to mention she's current new blood tag team champion with Saida. I mean, it's only a matter of time until she start having like the top belts in the promotion. But unfortunately, Hanan suffered the Phoenix Strike by Kimitani to pick up the win. But during the post match, as you know, we saw that Crazy Star, as you know, they issued a challenge for the tag title, so that most likely could happen soon, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to presume this match could happen in Osaka. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, let's end it with this one right here and move on to the following show, which is, of course, in Anjo on um, January 8th. Okay, so we continue with more with Stardom. And this one took place on the 8th of January in Anjo, Aichi, Japan. Now, this town of Anjo is, in fact, as we call it, Tam Nakano country. Now, Tam did mention that she was going to be appearing in this particular event, but unfortunately, she cannot participate due to her knee injury. She's not 100% healed from it just yet, but she did apologize to the fans who were there, and she promised that hopefully the next time they do come back to Anjo, that she will be 100%. And of course, she's she's hoping that everybody's having a good time. So that happened in the show as well. So not much of a thingy, but we'll get more to that. Now, our first match, we have Rana Yugami teaming up with Saida. They take on Yuzuki and Sayaka Mitani. However, this is one of those matches where, of course, you would have assumed that somehow we see the rookies actually pick up the big win. But no, it was the much experienced wrestlers who, in fact, will help out with the big win. And that, of course, it's it was Kamitani with the Senpu Yaku, which is like a spinning spinning jumping kick that Will Osprey does. That plays out pretty well, so that picked up the good win. Next up, we have Sayaka Kurara teaming up with Mina Shirakawa. They take on Hanako and Maika. Now, I kind of figured this is going to be interesting because Hanako and Maika, if you guys remembered, before Himeka left, she in fact was going to have Hanako inherit her JP coaster. Her move to Hanako, as you know, Hanako was almost as tall as both Lady C and Himeka combined. So that kind of says it all. But it was Maika who picked up the win with the Zazanka. I don't know what it is exactly, but yes, that's what it says from what move she used that allowed them to win. Next up, we have Crazy Stars once again. They Zuzu and May, they take on Lady C and Amisuri. Now, of course, Amisuri is the strongest competitor, but this generally put out a pretty good match. And not to mention, it was Zuzu with the tequila shot onto Lady C to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have Queen's Quest, Azumi and Utami Ishida taking on Masakurai and Julia. So this is going to be interesting. Now, I know recently we were expected to see Julia and Utami Ishida in a singles match at 5-Star Grand Prix, but due to Utami being injured, it kind of forced her out of that. But seems that hopefully we can see that match where it could happen at some point. But nonetheless, it was Utami with the German suplex on Masakurai that picked up the win. Now, our next match, we have God's Eye, Kashima, Mirai, and Suri. They take on Mega Bane, and she teams up with the Cosmic Angels. Yuna Mizumori and Sayuri Noi. And here's the special part. Uh, Tam Nakano was there watching the entire thing. She was right there in support of Onoi and Mizumori. So I thought it was a very interesting. But I have to say, Megan Bain working with both Onoi and Megan Bain, as you know, while Tam and Atsupo are out, she has teamed up with both of them in certain occasions. Some occasions, when it comes to Mizumori, they lose because Mizumori is the one who picked up the loss. But with Surinoi, that's a different story. But in this case, you see a lot of powerhousing in this particular match. I mean, I even once again tried to confront Megan Bain. That did not do any well. But the most interesting is Kashima, who took a lot of beating, but she was determined to pick up the win regardless. She even tried to pull the Kishikase, but that was stopped by Mizumori. But of course, it was Sayuri Noi with the powdering onto Kashima to pick up the win. Now, our main event, we have Oedo Tai with Ruka, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora taking on Stars, Hanan, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, of course, much like typical Oedo Tai, they do their attacks and they take it outside, try to soften up their opponents as much as possible. However, there was a moment you see Mayu use a weapon on Ruka, but it was a very interesting match. But in the end, it was Hanan who picked up the win with the backdrop driver onto Ruka, which was very impressive. Now, as you know, Stars, in fact, they won the main event. By default, they get to close the show. But for some odd reason, it was Mayu Iwatani who, in fact, called out Tam Nakano, since, as I said before, that this Anjo is Tam Nakano's country. So that kind of put a little bit of awkwardness. But the best part is Tam Nakano praises Hanan how much she has developed and has grown up so much. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Hanan recently on social media, but we'll see how it goes out. But as always, Tam Nakano did close on the show. But I wouldn't be surprised because sooner or later, there's those that believe that maybe Tam will finally beat Mayu Utani down the line because she's the one person she hasn't beat just yet. But only time will tell. So I think that's pretty much it with Stardom. So let's move on with our final review, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. So let's begin. Our first match, we have John Cruz. Now, I haven't seen him for quite some time. The last time we saw him, he had a very embarrassment match that he had with Samoa Joe, where Joe moved out of the way, and he's like, "What the hell?" Landed. But he is gonna face an opponent that everybody knows who he is, and this guy's little sister is a big star. We're talking about Zach Knight. That's right, Zach Knight makes another appearance with Ring of Honor, and once again he continues to impress us. I know some of you may question FWD, they screwed up. They should have given him an opportunity. I mean, many of us probably would agree. They dropped the ball on that. They didn't give him an opportunity to deserve. But I'm glad that we're seeing him even more. But nonetheless, Zach Knight, he is like a beast in this match. Not to mention, he did a very interesting combination to take out John Cruz with a buckle bomb and then a bit of a forearm knockout, and just like that, it was over. But I'm sure John Cruz is embarrassed in this particular match because the one person who's going to be laughing at him, well, is of course none other than Serpentico. He hates that guy, so that's why he does that. Even though he has a split personality, that's why. So anyway, let's move on. Now, as you know, Tony Nese, he hasn't been the same since Final Battle, but now he's like, okay, the fun and games are done. I'm taking this serious. So he decides to try to be in that momentum right now when he faces Market Cross. You probably would have assumed that he would have been vicious. Mostly he did, but he did do a some sort of move on him. I don't know what to call it, but he put him away, and 1, 2, 3, it was over right from there. Our next match, we have the ROH World Television title on the line, and Helico gets another opportunity of championship. He takes on Kyle Fletcher for this belt. Now, this was a very interesting combination. Now, we know that Angelico can fly. We know he has a a great submission uh, tactics that he learned from down in Mexico, but he faces a guy who is a multi-winner as a tag team. We rarely get to see him much in singles competition, but now he's grown up from that. I mean, this was going to be a good match. You would have assumed that Angelico would have won by using submissions, but it did not work. But it was, of course, a pile driver by Fletcher to Angelico that picked up the win. Now, Lexi Nair went to find Dalton Castle. As you know, Dalton Castle hasn't been himself ever since losing the match for the television title. He blames Johnny TV for this. Of course, Johnny TV claims that this title is not meant for a guy for Dalton Castle. So he said that he would like to have a match against him. But later on, of course, Lexi Nair went to talk to Johnny TV and told him that he would like to have a match against him. But Johnny TV is saying that he is not ready for that. He's not even meant for that. But sooner or later, that's going to happen, regardless of what he thinks. Now, our next match, we have the Righteous Dutch, Vincent and Dutch taking on the Dawsons, Dana and Zane, who I haven't seen in a long time. Now, those who don't know, I've seen these guys before. They were in the early stages of the NWA revival when Billy Corgan purchased the promotion. But it's great to see them again. They haven't done like their skits like we've seen, but however, they actually it was Dutch who picked up the win with a slam on I forgot which one. It's what one of the Dawsons, but nonetheless, it was the Righteous that walked away with the win. Um, Next up, we have Lexi Nair, on the other hand, interviews Shane Taylor Promotions, consisting of Taylor and Moriarty. Now, as you know, they decided to pick up a fight, knowing that they blamed their losses towards the infantry. So, and Shane Taylor, out of audacity, was calling the infantry wannabe soldiers because, Shane Taylor, who said that his father was in the military, that makes him a true soldier. But I'm sure the infantry did not like what they hear and all this, but they did hear it. They even mentioned it with Lexi Nair on a separate interview. So you probably can guess that anyway. Now, our next match, we have the boys taking on the Iron Savages. Of course, the Savages were going to take the boys to where. That kind of was embarrassing. But in the end, it was a standing tower onto Brent, I believe, that sealed the deal for the Iron Savages. Next up, we have Serpentico taking on Cold Carter. Now, if you guys remember, it was Serpentico and Atletico that blamed Carter and Garrison for the loss of the match they had. So they've been picking up a feud. However, none of these guys had any of the support team to helping out. However, we did see Griff Garrison and Maria help out. But when the referee was distracted, Griff Garrison got himself involved. But it was, of course, Cole Carter with a roll up and a using of the tights to pick up the win. And then there was a beatdown on Serpentico by both of the individuals. But luckily, Angelico showed up with a chair to even the odds. So this feud between them is far, far from over. Next up, we have Lady Frost versus Trish Adora versus Queen Aminata versus Diamante. This was a very interesting match. Now, there was a moment we did see a bit of teamwork with Queen Aminata and Trish Adora. You would have presumed that this match was going to be, okay, they'll team up, but later we do see the moment. It's every woman for themselves. Queen Aminata took that advantage and decided to pick up the win on a stomp onto Lady Frost and picked up the win. Just like that. But as you know, I mentioned Queen Aminata is all elite. I wouldn't be surprised if she's going to be back and forth with both AEW and Ring of Honor until she makes her decision where she wants to stay at. Now, our next match, we have Josh Woods versus LeBron Cozone. This match ended with the GYT Grit Your Teeth by Josh Woods. As you know, he's currently undefeated, who is trying to make his way back into the Pure Championship talks. Now, our next match, we have Robin Renegade versus Taya Valkyrie. These two actually teamed up recently, but now they're on a diagonal opposite of each other. You probably would assume this is going to finish with Taya Valkyrie win. You're absolutely right. She applied the curse stomp to end it that way. Of course. Then we see, of course, Billy Starks along with Lexington, the minions. You know, as you know, they're on their own at the moment, while Athena decided to head back to Houston to run her dojo and all that stuff. So they decided they're going to go party, but Billy Starks made it clear that the ROH World Television title is her belt. So she made that perfectly clear. Our next match, we have Layla Hirsch and Rachel Ellering taking on Brittany Hale and Brittany Jade and Emily Hall. Nonetheless, the match showed how much now that Layla and Rachel are now building up that trust as a tag team, and also knowing that they both love the fight and love competition. So it was Rachel with the body slam and picked up the win. However, the much interesting thing that happened is the appearance of Abaddon. I don't know what's the situation, but Caprice Coleman and Ingrid Ricabati do make a good valid point. Maybe this has something to do with the conversation now that's been built upon what's the ROH World Television Women's Title. So that's something that could be in the works of that, but we'll see. Now our next match, we have another four-corner survival: Jack Cartwheel versus Slim J versus Blake Christian versus Gravity. Now this one, high speed, all high flying. You probably would have been lost in the shuffle where you're going. You'll be like, oh. Yes, that was a pretty good match. Now, truth to be told, I was hoping Gravity was going to win, but no, it wasn't Gravity. It was Blake Christian with a Texas Cloverleaf onto Slim J that forced them to tap out and picked up the win. Now, speaking of our current women's champion, Athena, as you know, she is doing her little thing, taking a break after being being brutalized, broken nose, and all that. So, basically, unaware to her, she had a surprise visit from the native beast, Nyla Rose. And of course, when Athena actually spotted her, this is Nyla Rose goes, "Surprise, bitch!" And she started beating up. Her students even try to help out, saying, "Leave the overload alone," and they get knocked out, and she scared them. But of course, Nyla Rose saying that all what comes out of Athena's mouth is all a joke, but she put it through a table, so sending her a clear message on that. So I probably predict that she will be the next person to challenge Athena for the ROH Women's title. Next up, we have Christopher Daniels versus Lee Johnson. What an amazing match! Now, Lee Johnson, he's one of those wrestlers we definitely seen a lot. We known him from the Daily Place days. He has grown so much, but unfortunately, he ended up on the Angel's Wings by Daniels and picked up the win just like that. Now, our next match, 2 out of 3 falls. The Infantry, Carly Bravo, and the Captain Sean Dean taking on Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. What a match! I mean, hard hitting. First fall goes to Taylor when he pinned Bravo after giving him the fist. The second fall goes to Dean when he pinned Moriarty when he did a Garf splash, right? Or in reverse means frog splash. So that I don't know how to say it right, but yes. But the final fall goes to Moriarty when he pinned Dean when he did some sort of like a DDT type move. So that sets it up. But of course, the only reason this match happened was because Shane Taylor Promotion, they're trying to put a name for themselves, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So they could be in the potential for title tag team titles competition, but we will see that at some point whenever that conversation rises. So for right now, we'll just leave things like that with Ring of Honor. I think we're done with every other review as we speak. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, So welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far with updatings with the promotions on their events. Now, as you know, I did mention not too long ago, um, Nick Meneth, better known as Dolph Ziggler, will be doing a 4-day tour in Australia from the 28th to the 31st of January. This one is from the promotion called World Series Wrestling. Their tour is called Most Wanted. However, they made another announcement recently. Elijah, or as we knew him back in WWE, Elias, will be part of that tour. So he joins Nick Meth on this one, and this is going to be real fun to enjoy. Now, I don't normally see these events, but if they do come around, I'll definitely try to review them for all of you. Now, as we continue with more of the Jersey Cup that takes place in the Jersey J Cup by JCW on the 9th and 10th of February, they announced for their next participant, their 10th entrance, and this is, of course, Nick Wayne will be participating. So this is the first time in a while since we've seen him participate in the JCW event. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, if you guys are familiarized with Germany, with their one of their promotions called WXW, they announced for the 16 Gold Carat, which is a tournament that happens every year. It dates all the way from the 8th and 10th of March. They announced for Mochizuki Jr. will be participating. It's been foretold that his dad and brother already participated in these shows before. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Wrestling Revolver announced for the Ready or Not show that takes place on the 16th of March. Steph DeLander will be making her debut, but however, they announced that for a match, Steph DeLander's buddy, Matt Cardona, will be returning, and he faces against Stingray. That's right. Paul Walter Hauser will be in there. They're going to be facing off. That's going to be a lot of fun to enjoy. Now, more on the KAOZ Lucha Libre promotion. As you know, for the 39th anniversary taking place on the 24th of March, they announced a wrestler named Tigre Universitario participating. I don't know who this guy is, but his name is kind of interesting, so not going to lie. Now, finally, as you know, since we did not have any TNA involved, they announced that starting next week, there'll be a brand new episode. So basically, no more recaps. So we can expect, but don't forget this coming Saturday, we do have Hard to Kill. So looking forward to that. But also, they announced that on March 22nd, they head back to Philadelphia. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. Now, interesting developments that have been happening in the world of pro wrestling. Now, let's start with the Fightful Select report. They report that TNA have already expected for several new multiple signees into the coming week. So we're gonna expect more people who will be signed to TNA. I'm looking forward to that. And also, Fightful reports that Jim Ross, his contract with AEW expires on February 14th, actually. That's right, 14th, which is Valentine's Day. So there's no talk whether if there'll be a renewal or anything. I know Jim Ross had mentioned about retiring, but we'll see what happens on here and out. Now, Luchador Black Taurus has announced that he, in fact, is leaving AAA. He is going to be a free agent real soon, but he said he would like to work in Mexico and in the U.S. But there is a possible tease of him making his way to AAA's rival company, CMLL. So we'll see and stay close to that. All Japan Pro Wrestling talent, Shotaro Ashino. As you know, he was sidelines for 6 months. He was the winner of the Carnival Champion tournament. He's supposed to face against the Triple Crown champion. Unfortunately, he was unable to do so. So now he'll get his opportunity soon enough. Now, Rossy Ogawa has made some high expectations towards Hanan, and I mentioned her recently on this episode. Setting up for the big events for her. Basically, they're now gonna give her the push that she deserves. So sooner or later, Hanan and Saida may have to drop the new blood tag team titles. Now that she may be able to be pushed, so we'll see what happens until then. Now, interesting news. This was announced by Ohio Valley Wrestling. They announced that Mickie James is now part of the team. She'll be working as a creative director and the women's talent, but also will serve as an executive producer to the promotion. So it's great to hear that she is still involved in wrestling, but they never mentioned anything if she will be wrestling. But I'm assuming that probably she'll stop, or I don't know, but we'll see. Now, if you're big fans of the Yoshi wrestling, you may have heard what happened. Um, during a seedling event, Arisa Kashima injured herself again. Last year, she got hurt, injured herself after in a match with Hiroyo Matsumoto. But yeah, so this is what we gathered so far. Let me pull it up real quick. So they're saying, according to the doctor's diagnosis, Arisa Nakajima likely suffered a mild cervical cord injury. She is currently conscious, which is good, has no symptoms of paralysis, but as a precaution, they're going to keep her in a hospital. What's her name? Natsuki Taiyo, who you may know as one of Stardom's talent that they had as in the high speed division. She said this. Thank you very much to the opening match and sealing today. We apologize for causing concern to the accident during the match. I I have now met with the person herself. I'm able to talk to her. We'll notify you once the diagnosis results are available. Thank you very much for your support. So basically, she's trying to assure people that everything will be fine. That they'll try to know more information. But we did hear from Arisa herself. She says, "Thank you to coming to Sealing for the 2024 opening yesterday." Well, that was is already today. It's already what Friday over there. But yeah, so she said that I sincerely apologize for any concern and inconvenience caused. I'm fine. I'm okay. We'll take this opportunity to take a hard look at myself once again as a professional. I will definitely come back stronger. Please wait for me. So it seems that she's okay, but I'm sure that she's gonna work hard not to push herself too much. But it's great that she's okay. Nothing serious, but I'm sure that they'll keep good observation on her. So hopefully she does get back into the ring. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we still gonna be seeing AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. I still got Noah and All Japan Pro Wrestling and Future Stars of Wrestling to review. Nothing new and fresh has come up just yet, but I'm sure I'll be uh, learning all of that once it comes around, and once I do, I try to pull it up. But as the good news, I actually was able to catch up with Stardom, so we're done for now. We're already caught up, but we'll see what happens next. But for right now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.